It's a beautiful day. Can't help but smile, and got to see my family in person yesterday, so double smiles. My name is Sheila Wybrow. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of the Tahoma UU congregation. As we begin our gathering, I respectfully acknowledge that I speak to you today from occupied Puyallup ancestral land. I pay respect to elders past and present and extend that respect to their descendants and all Indigenous people. We welcome all who are joining us with a longing for community, the hope for peace, and who are seeking justice. We are a diverse congregation which encourages each one who comes through our doors to find their own truth and belief. We invite all to join us in a search for meaning and community, guided by reason, respect for each other, and by love. In this virtual platform, we have an opportunity to welcome guests from outside our traditional geographic area. So a special welcome to all of our new friends and our returning friends from far and near. I invite you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Links to the video version of the service will be posted there this week, as well as on our website. We'll find all of our program announcements this week in our e-news and listed on our church calendar, and here are highlights. Tomorrow, Monday evening at 7 p.m., the Infinite Cups will host a summer solstice ritual on Zoom, shedding the past and casting the future. Details can be found on the church calendar or on the Facebook event posting. This week is the Unitarian Universalist Association General Assembly meeting online, and several sessions will be open to the public for no fee. The e-news has a link so you can find specific programs, or you can find it via the uua.org website. Next Sunday, June 27th, we will be streaming the General Assembly worship service via the same Zoom link as you are using today. We will not be streaming to Facebook next Sunday. The full worship service will be from the First Universalist Church of Minneapolis and General Assembly. So we will not have our usual morning announcements or chalice lighting from our church, but we'll have the chalice lighting with the General Assembly worship service. On the following Sunday, July 4th, we will begin our summer Puget Sound worship collaborative services with North Lake UU and Saltwater UU. Those services will use a different Zoom address, so please be sure to get that new Zoom link from the e-news or from the worship service description on our website. The summer services will be offered via Zoom, but will not be streamed to Facebook. We look forward to seeing you online for these services that will be offered via Zoom meeting, and there will also be an opportunity for virtual coffee times following the worship services in Zoom breakout rooms. The plan is to offer Zoom breakout rooms for each congregation and another Zoom breakout room for folks who want to chat a bit about the message from the worship service, or you can simply come and be part of the worship service. We won't have these regular announcements on Sundays during the summer, so please be sure to read the e-news for updates. John Hargis is seeking new and returning audiovisual volunteers trained for this fall, as we will be continuing worship services online, as well as offering hybrid services online and in person when we can gather in person again. We'll put an email in the chat for more information about this opportunity. Reverend Joe Rettmeyer will be leading the worship services for our congregation this summer, along with the ministers from North Lake and Saltwater. And we'll be leading several of our services in September and October, while Reverend Linda will be continuing her sabbatical that begins tomorrow. We will continue offering services online until we are able to join together in person in our sanctuary for services. And when we are in person again, we will continue to offer worship services online as hybrid worship services. We want to ensure safe spaces for everyone in our congregation, including children who don't yet have vaccine options. So we don't know yet when we'll be gathering in person again. We will provide updates in the e-news, so that will continue to be your source for updates as we navigate these unique times. Links for all of our programs can be found in the weekly e-news or via the events on our church calendar. Thank you for your ongoing financial support to our congregation. that makes all of this possible. These programs, our staff who create and facilitate the programs, and the connections that we make through our congregation. So now let us prepare together in worship.
Good morning, friends. Our opening words today are by Gary Kowalski. We gather here to worship, to seek the truth, to grow in love, to join in service. We gather to celebrate life's beauty and to find healing for its pain, to honor our kinship with each other and with the earth, to create a more compassionate world, beginning with ourselves, to wonder at the mystery that gave us birth, and to find courage at the journey's end. All along, we listen for the wisdom that guides us. It is so good to be together this morning, my friends.
And now we will light our chalice, and if you can join me in our unison reading, I've pasted the words into the chat. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nancy Slocum, and I'm the Director of Religious Exploration for Children and Youth here at Tahoma Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Welcome, everyone, especially our young ones who are here today. This is our time for all ages. So as some of us, Scott was talking about in the chat earlier, he talked about this being the summer solstice, and the solstice is often thought of, the summer solstice is thought of being the longest day of the year. It's actually still only a 24-hour day, but it's the time of year when we have the most sunlight, the most light. So the time between sunrise in the morning and sunset in the evening is the longest amount of time of the whole year. And I love the summer solstice because I love summer. Summer is just such a great time. We have good weather and I love getting out a lot. I love being able to spend time outdoors without being worried about getting cold or rainy. I love to go for hikes and walks. Sometimes maybe it's just a stroll that I take. But I'd like for us this morning to all take a virtual hike or walk or stroll together. I want you to just settle in, and you can close your eyes if you want. And I just want you to imagine a place where you would like to go, where you'd like to walk or stroll, or maybe you use an assistive device like a wheelchair and you move through in a wheelchair or a scooter. And take a couple of deep breaths. Close your eyes if you want. And just imagine your surroundings. Where are you taking this walk? What's around you? Silently think about where you are. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell on this walk? What does it feel like? How does your body feel? How does your mood feel? What does it feel like to be on this walk? As you think about these things, does anything jump out at you as feeling like more important or something that's really grabbed your attention? As though it's speaking to you, as though it's wanting you to pay closer attention to it. Maybe it's even giving you some sort of a challenge. Think about those things. And then we'll come back together. We'll be done with our virtual walk. But I remember another hike that I did one time. I was camping with a group of school kids, and we were down at Mount Rainier, and we did a day hike. Some of you maybe have hiked up to the Carbon River Glacier, and we were hiking up to the Carbon River Glacier. And we all traveled along the same trail up to the glacier, and we all returned back to our campsite via the same trail. And when we got back to our campsite after we had dinner, we sat around the campground and we talked about the hike and how wonderful it had been, how fun it was, how great everything was. And people started talking about what they noticed most on the hike. For instance, one person said, "Oh my gosh, the birds were amazing. There were so many wonderful bird sounds. I've never heard that many birds before, and it was just a really wonderful experience." Someone else talked about the big trees that grew around them and how wonderfully they smelled. They really enjoyed the smell of the fir trees that were growing in the forest there. Another person talked about finding some small little flowers on the side of the trail that were hard to see. They were kind of tucked in under some ferns, but how pretty they were to stop and take a look at them. And one person said, "Ugh, it was hard. Remember that big hill? That big hill was hard. We had to keep climbing and climbing, and I was panting and my muscles hurt, and I didn't think I was going to make it. It was hard." And it was interesting to us how we were all on the same trail, all walking the same path, but we all had paid attention to different things, had seen different things, had heard different things, had felt different things. And someone asked, the thing that you noticed most, did you feel that your attention was being drawn to that for some reason in particular? Was there a message in it for them? It was an interesting conversation. The person who had talked about hearing the birds said, "Yeah, I was remembering how much I like to listen to music. And sometimes I get so busy, I never stop and just sit down and listen to music. And I need more of that in my life." And the person who spoke about how great the trees smelled, how good it felt to breathe in that cool, crisp air, thought, I want to get out more in the trees. I spend my life living in a city, and I want to be around trees more because I really enjoyed it. The person who had noticed the flowers growing under the ferns said, "Yeah, I really felt like it was important that I stopped and I took time and really appreciated how beautiful they were, and that I could notice more beauty in the world. And I even found myself thinking, I wish I had some art supplies with me so I could draw or paint the flowers." And the person hiking up the hill said it was just hard. But then after thinking, I said, "But you know what? I did it. It was hard and I did it." And that the hard stuff sometimes just means taking one step at a time, going at your own pace, and eventually you get to where you're going. We were all on a journey that day, and we all learned different things from our journey. Journeys like that can take us out of our usual day-to-day life. They give us opportunities to focus on new things and to forget about all the stuff waiting for us back at home. And sometimes they give us messages from the things that we notice. You know, our minister, Reverend Linda, she's about to take some time off from work. She's taking what's called a sabbatical. That's a big word, but it describes time off, time that's given to her by the congregation for her to take some time to step away from her work life, to have a break, to take time to learn and reflect, to refresh, to renew. She's going to be gone for over 4 months, returning around Halloween. So well after summer's over, she'll be back. And this will be a journey for her. I know she's planning on taking a trip. I just learned this today, the trip by train. But even when she's home, even when she's in her own neighborhood, she will still be on a journey along a different path from her usual work life. Like all of us, when we step out of the things that are familiar, there's lots of time to notice and observe. We don't all have 4 months to do this, but we can do this every day of our lives. Take time to reflect, take time to observe the world around us, to look around and see what we see and smell what we smell and hear what we hear and feel what we feel. Linda, we wish you well. Have a great journey. And to all of you out there, may you all have your own journeys this summer, even if you never leave home. That's our time for all ages today. I will send you out with the words we use when the kids leave the sanctuary to go to their classes. We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your hearts be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life, we hold you in our love as you go. Take good care.
Well, this is the point of our journey through this service every Sunday where we pause and take a little time to think about how we can offer our financial gifts to the work of the and for committing the support you already make to the church, but think about doing something here at this time. Follow the link on this slide or the information in the chat. Know that your contributions support the work that we do as members, that staff do, and to work tirelessly to keep the congregation connected in these new and dynamic times and in new and dynamic ways. So every little bit helps. Don't think it doesn't. While we are physically apart, our gifts grow stronger together. And now, if you will join me in dedicating our offerings. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls.
Let us pause for a few moments now, time for meditation, for reflection, for prayer, just for stillness, as is most your custom. To begin, I offer these words by my colleague Rod Richards, a meditation on Father's Day. On this Father's Day, we recognize the vast spectrum of experience and the often complicated feelings that surround such a celebration. We honor those fathers and father figures in our lives who have loved, supported, encouraged, and instructed us, and we seek to share these gifts with others. We mourn with those who mourn the loss of a father and fathers who mourn the loss of a child, whether separated by death or estrangement. We support those for whom this day brings pain and sorrow, who suffered abandonment, neglect, or abuse. We support and celebrate the fathers in our midst who give of themselves to their children, recognizing all the strength and wisdom and stamina and love and time and honest introspection that fatherhood requires. We support those men who choose not to have children, yet who are present in loving and supportive ways to children, youth, and adults alike. And we seek to honor wherever we find ourselves today across this spectrum of experience, and to feel the compassion that embraces us within this silence that we will share. Let us be in stillness together. So may it be. Amen.
For today's reading, we have a poem by Joy Harjo for calling the spirit back from wandering the earth in its human feet. Put down that bag of potato chips, that white bread, that bottle of pop. Turn off that cell phone, computer, and remote control. Open the door, then close it behind you. Take a breath offered by friendly winds. They travel the earth, gathering essences of plants to clean. Give it back with gratitude. If you sing, it will give your spirit lift to fly to the stars' ears and back. Acknowledge this earth who has cared for you since you were a dream planting itself precisely within your parents' desire. Let your moccasin feet take you to the encampment of the guardians who have known you before time, who will be there after time. They sit before the fire that has been there without time. Let the earth stabilize your post-colonial insecure jitters. Be respectful of the small insects, birds, and animal people who accompany you. Ask their forgiveness for the harm we humans have brought down upon them. Don't worry. The heart knows the way, though there may be high-rises, interstates, checkpoints, armed soldiers, massacres, wars, and those who will despise you because they despise themselves. The journey might take you a few hours, a day, a year, a few years, 100, 1,000, or even more. Watch your mind. Without training, it might run away and leave your heart for the immense human feast set by the thieves of time. Do not hold regrets. When you find your way to the circle, to the fire kept burning by the keepers of your soul, you will be welcomed. You must clean yourself with cedar, sage, or other healing plant. Cut the ties you have to failure and shame. Let go the pain you are holding in your mind, your shoulders, your heart, all the way to your feet. Let go the pain of your ancestors to make way for those who are heading in our direction. Ask for forgiveness. Call upon the help of those who love you. These helpers may take many forms: animal, element, bird, angel, saint, stone, or ancestor. Call your spirit back. It may be caught in corners and creases of shame, judgment, and human abuse. You must call in a way that your spirit will want to return. Speak to it as you would to a beloved child. Welcome your spirit back from its wandering. It may return in pieces, in tatters. Gather them together. They will be happy to be found after being lost for so long. Your spirit will need to sleep a while after it is bathed and given clean clothes. Now you can have a party. Invite everyone you know who loves and supports you. Keep room for those who have no place else to go. Make a giveaway, and remember, keep the speeches short. Then you must do this. Help the next person find their way through the dark.
Thank you, Scott. It's a beautiful poem, and it speaks to what I'm looking forward to and what I hope we all have an opportunity to experience at times in our life. You know, it's not often that I start a sermon by looking towards the Bible. But when it comes to talking about taking a rest, not just the afternoon nap or that bench that's just in the right spot along the trail, we could do a lot worse than that creation story in Genesis. It's not big and flashy. You might not notice it if your mind wanders off at the end of the narrative of the first week of creation. And on the seventh day, God rested. Creation can take a lot of energy, you know, and we all need to learn how to take a break. The list of what's handed to the Israelites as well, in that the list of what is most important that was handed to the Israelites in their travels towards the promised land includes that we should keep the Sabbath too. take the seventh day, just like God, and rest from our labors. Ecclesiastes also makes a list of all those times, the time that there is time for everything under heaven. And surely among those times is a time to rest. And I wonder, my friends, if you've been able to get some rest over these days and weeks and months that we've been at home and away from each other, or have your days gotten filled with worry and fretting? Have the days been empty, but still fraught with trouble? And how is it that we find rest and restoration in these strange days? And can I note for the record that I am really, really seriously and significantly ready to stop noting that we're in strange days and that we are existing in this kind of awkward liminal state. And yes, there is a time for everything, but still there are those times when you just want it to hurry up and get there. I have to admit, that paragraph got away from me a little bit. So let's come back. The question I'm asking is about finding authentic rest, finding center again, finding a space for drawing in, for coming back to your heart and to your wholeness. That's what the Sabbath is for. Back when I served the congregation in Spokane, I had the delight of performing a wedding for one of the folks in the congregation there. Her beloved had been estranged from one part of his family for some years, but a reconciliation had happened and a cousin was coming to the wedding. The rub was that the cousin was an Orthodox Jew, and the wedding was being arranged around his availability to be there. They wanted the wedding on a Saturday, and so they asked if it was possible for us to let the cousin arrive at the church on Friday before sundown so that he could observe the Sabbath, and then the wedding would begin at sundown on Saturday. Of course, we said. We did the rehearsal, and I met the cousin. I asked him if there was anything that we could do to help him prepare for his Sabbath time, and he assured me that he had it fully in hand. He had the food he needed to eat. He would turn the lights on in places that he might need light overnight. And he had his prayer book as well. And so he was all set. In addition, I have to say, this was just one of the most delightful pieces of the wedding. Was I had been asked to say the Jewish prayer over wine before the couple smashed the glass, and I was saying it in a translation, and he said, "Oh, you should say it in the Hebrew." I was like, "I don't know Hebrew. I can't do that." And he insisted that I make a copy of the page in his prayer book where I could read the words in English, not needing to, or not in English, but in letters. And I spent the whole night looking at that, saying Baruch Atah Adonai, and onward with the prayer. It was a beautiful time, made even more special by his presence there. There was something about his devotion that was really moving and inspiring to me. That setting aside of time, the dive into prayer, the relinquishing of modern convenience and ease, the possibility of quiet, and just stopping all the noise and the rush continues to inspire and draw me in. I wonder if it does for you too. How would it be to set down our phones, turn off our computers, pick up a book of prayers, or maybe of poetry, and attend to our hearts and our souls? My guess is that at least some of us have practices that help us to do this. Are there times when you turn all of your electronics off? It could even be a small moment of doing so at the dining table with your family. Do you have a practice of meditation or perhaps mindful walking? Where is it in your life that the noise and busyness is paused? I'm grateful, seriously grateful, that in the work of ministry we have a custom of sabbaticals. And I am especially grateful that you, this congregation, have made space for me to have that opportunity to pause. As you likely know, the root of the word sabbatical is the same as the root for the word Sabbath, and it traces back to the Jewish term Shabbat. All of it traces back to that story in the Bible of resting on the seventh day. In our tradition, it's not just rest, though, this sabbatical. There's also a part of it that is about being in the learning ministry, not the learned ministry, but the learning ministry. So ministers, when they take their time off, their sabbatical leave, will take some time to deepen into their work with reading and writing, perhaps finding places of refreshment and nourishment wherever they can. Over these next 4 months, while I'm away from my work here at TUUC, I'll be traveling to spend time with beloved friends and family. I'll be delving into writing poetry and getting some time out in the natural world by reinvigorating a hiking hobby. As well, that stack of books that threatens to topple over in our bedroom, the one that keeps getting higher and higher, much to my husband's amusement, will be reduced in size as I work my way through them. With the companionship and guidance of the newly ordained Reverend Joe Rettenmeyer, you'll have some time too for some new learning, times for discovery and exploration. Over July and August, as has been said, you'll have the pleasure, and I think it really will be a pleasure, of worshiping with 2 other congregations, Saltwater in Des Moines and Northlake from Kirkland. I encourage you to find a different sort of rest in those collaborations. Perhaps make some new friends as you do. The board, our staff, and Joe will be figuring out over the summer and into the fall what our next steps will be as we return to worshiping together in person. I hope it is a rich time for you as it is for me. I trust it will be. I will miss you when I'm gone. And I will look forward to my return to worship with you on October 31st. All things going well, we will be in the building with each other. Imagine how wonderful that will be. In the meantime, my beloved friends, be well and of good cheer, and find those moments of true quiet and rest and Sabbath in your lives in the days to come until we are together again. Amen. I invite us now to pause, as is our custom, to set an intention for the week to come. If there has been some moment in the service today that has touched you, I invite you to take a moment now to breathe into it and set an intention for how you will carry it out into your life. Let us pause in stillness. So may it be. Amen. Our closing words by the Reverend Robin Gray. May the flame of our community ignite a love bold enough to share And in return, may we all be embraced by a love that remains constant in times of sorrow and in times of great gladness. Again, I say, friends, be well. May the days be good for you until we are together again. Amen and blessed be.
Please join me now in the unison words we say when we extinguish the chalice. And I think as we conclude this today, let's think of ourselves and of Linda. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now we get to enjoy our closing blessing song, courtesy of Asher. Thank you very much, Asher.
I receive to you, I give together, we share, and of this we live from you. I receive to you, I give together, we share, and of this we live.